welcome to Box on the Box Rock and Celluloid, Bop Brat for short. This is my Christmas special, no expense spared. Mike Yarwood, he's got nothing on this. Got me two mates here, me Christmassy mirror, and I bought a hat. Okay, so this is my favourite Xmas TV, or more, it's kind of like my memories of Xmas TV. It's not my favourite Christmas films. Some of these films have been shown at Christmas, and you may remember Christmases that were on. So I'm just going to skate through a few memories. And a lot of these films I don't even like now, probably. But anyway, one of my earliest memories, or an early film I remember seeing that I loved, that used to be on at Christmas, I think, or is It's a Mad, Mad World, which is Stanley Kramer's 1963 comedy epic, actually. I think it's about nearly 3 hours long. It's got Spencer Tracy in it, Phil Silvers. Basically, they're after some gold or something like that, and it's got this crazy climax with a fire truck. And I remember seeing it as a kid, and I did some research, and it was first shown on Xmas TV in Britain on the 27th of December 1975 at, I think it was BBC One, and it was at 10 to 6, 1750. So I possibly saw this one, but it was on later on the 28th of December in 1976 at 4:20. So methinks I might remember the 1975 one, but I'm thinking probably the 1976. And then after that, we'd regularly watch it, either Christmas or Easter, whenever it was on. And the last time I saw it was like a Christmas, probably 30 years ago, and I did still enjoy it, but now I doubt I would. It was kind of remade as a film called Rat Race in the noughties, or was that the 90s? Had Rowan Atkinson, John Cleese. But these kind of madcap things, you've got Monte Carlo or Bust, those Magnificent Men in the Flying Machines, The Great Race. It's where you have an all-star cast filling in the comedy gaps, as it were, and they all have a shared goal that they're trying to achieve. So it's a mad world, although it's not like a period vehicle race film. It is kind of in that ilk. So another top Christmas memory or film I like that I've seen many Christmases, tends to be on at Easter night, is The Railway Children, and I found there was a viewing of that on the 19th of December at 1:55. I'm guessing it was BBC, but sometimes it switches to ITV. Again, I guess I probably saw it around then. I'll be 5 then, so. And also on Christmas Day in 1976, Oliver was shown. And again, that's an early childhood memory. That's one of the few musicals I can abide. Oliver, great Oliver Reed performance in it. Ron Moody, brilliant. I'll just tell you a quick Oliver Reed tale about that. So there's a line in Oliver where Nancy, played by Shani Wallis, goes, "Do you love me, Bill?" And Ollie Reed goes, "I lives with you, don't I? I lives with you, don't I?" Sorry, I mispronounced that. Now, he got that from a street conversation and decided to put it in the film. He checked with his uncle, Carol Reed, I guess, the director. But this is what actually happened. He was walking down the street and he saw a couple, and the girl went to the bloke, "Do you love me, John?" And he went, "I fucks you, don't I?" So anyway, so Oliver Reed heard that snippet of conversation, and he changed it, obviously, for the kids' film, Oliver. But 25th of December 1976, Christmas Day, Airport was on TV. Now, I definitely remember seeing this, I think. I have a vague memory of watching Airport, and I seem to remember Jacqueline Bisset gets, blown up or something. Quite interesting, actually, that was a massive hit in 1970 at the box office, and people talk about the New Hollywood and Easy Rider and Bonnie and Clyde. But, you've got an old-fashioned star vehicle, all-star cast, and Love Story, the big hit of 1970 as well, obviously starring young actors, but very old-fashioned. They were the big hits, so, that myth of sort of like, inmates taking over the asylum, maybe not so. So that's kind of 1975, 1976. One of the Christmas evergreens was The Wizard of Oz. It seemed to be like, oh, the bloody Wizard of Oz is on again. My research showed it was shown on Christmas Day, December 25th, Christmas Day at 1:10 BBC One. That was 1977. And I would say that this was probably the first time I can remember seeing it. Whether I saw it before, I don't know. But I would suspect that would be the main thing. 1977, obviously the year of The Spy Loved Me. And The Magnificent Men in the Flying Machines was on the 28th, and I probably saw that for the first time then. Watched that bit again recently, actually. It's a good Christmas film. Okay, so 1978, Christmas would not be Christmas without the James Bond film on ITV, and December 25th, 1978, Diamonds Are Forever was on TV. I would imagine I watched it. I'd already seen it at the pictures as a double bill. I can't remember. I think it was with the Live and Let Die. I think I saw The Man with the Golden Gun as a double bill with gold. But anyway, Christmas Day, Diamonds Are Forever. I always thought Live and Let Die held the record for Christmas Day viewing figures, and one of the records of all time on TV is actually shown in March of 1980, 23 million viewers. So it was never on at Christmas, so misremembered that. You also had premieres for Moonraker, 1982, Goldfinger, that was shown on the Boxing Day, 26, 1979, 3:15 ITV. That's perfect, isn't it? You have your dinner, you settle down, you watch Goldfinger. Fucking awesome. And then Xmas Day TV, 6 o'clock ITV, 1980, The Man with the Golden Gun. And 1980 is a special Christmas for me, because that Christmas, if my memory serves me correctly, I went into the lounge, where we had our tree presents, and underneath the tree was acoustic nylon string guitar, a 3/4 size. That was my first guitar. My mum had got it for me, mum and dad. So what a great day that was. I could watch that, play my guitar, try to, and then watch Man with the Golden Gun later. In actual fact, in 1980, the morning was even better. So Christmas Day, I've got my guitar. 25th, Christmas Day. Digby, the Biggest Dog in the World, on at 11:40 a.m. ITV, 1980. Digby. If you've never seen Digby, the Biggest Dog in the World, it's got Jim Dale in it, directed by Joseph McGrath. Basically, he's a old English sheepdog, and Jim Dale gives him some kind of potion. He grows really big, and it's lush. And at the end, it's like dead emotional, because you think the army gets called in to blow Digby up, and you think Digby's dead, but he actually shrinks down to size, and he comes around filling up. He comes running out at the end. It's like Digby. It's got its own theme tune. Go on YouTube. Put in Digby, the Biggest Dog in the World. It's great. You're my dog. You're my dog. Love it. So what a great Christmas day that was. Digby, guitar, Digby, and then food, and then fucking James Bond, Roger Moore, Man with the Golden Gun. Okay, so I've jumped ahead there. 1979. Big music's a big part of my life, and the Beatles were one of the first bands that I was aware of, because we had 8-track cartridges of the 2 Beatles best-ofs. So I used to really enjoy the films, and in Christmas of 79, they had a series called the Beatles of X at Christmas, and Help was on. That was on the 22nd of December, and Yellow Submarine was on the 24th of December. And I definitely would have watched those, because I distinctly remember, I did see those films around that time in my life. Yellow Submarine, what great animation that is, and that amazing surrealism on that, I always like the bit of Nowhere Man, when he's just on his own going in the holes. Superb. Weird, it's actually actors voicing the Beatles in the cartoon. It's weird. Hard Day's Night's a better film, but I always preferred Help because it was in colour, and one of my favourite bits is when the 4 Beatles walk in the front doors, but it's all one big house. Fucking awesome. I'd love to have had a house like that with bands up in, and that would be great. Alas, it was not to be, because I was skint. 23rd of December 1979, so, we're in a good run here. 7:15, The Poseidon Adventure. Awesome. So this is, it's one of my all-time favourite disaster films, actually maybe the best. It features an incendiary performance by Gene Hackman. Great all-star cast, Borgnine, Red Buttons, Shelley Winters, top sacrifice. Still a really good film. Again, old-fashioned Hollywood blockbuster, really, with a new Hollywood actor. That was great. I mentioned, of course, Goldfinger was on 26. Here's a weird one for you. On the 27th of December, a little-known kids' cartoon with songs, actually Hungarian back, but Hugo the Hippo, if anyone remembers that. I watched that. I've seen it a couple of times when I was a kid. I read the plot up again. Apparently it was a bit dodgy, but it had a singing hippo or something. No, singing kids in a hippo. I really liked it. Just one of those weird, obscure things that you see at Christmases. It gets better. Now, 26, 7:10 on Boxing Day on the 26th, Where Eagles Dare. Obviously, it's one of my all-time favourite films. This was the second time we'll have seen it, because my dad took us to the pictures to see it. So something amazing happened here. So basically watched Where Eagles Dare on the TV on the Boxing Day. A few days later, or maybe just into New Year, not sure. We went to, or maybe it's a little bit of time after that. We went to visit some mum and dad's friends up in Newcastle in the Tynemouth area, and they had one of the first probably the first video recorder I'd ever seen. Now my brother wanted to watch some football or something, but they'd take Where Eagles Dare, and I was like, "Can I watch Where Eagles Dare?" And I did. So literally a few days after, or maybe a little longer, I was able to watch Where Eagles Dare again, and probably rewind a bit where the guy gets kicked off the cable car, which is one of my favourite deaths in film ever. Fantastic. So that was great. And then New Year's Eve, 31st. Now, a big part of Christmas is Agatha Christie, and that's just the premiere of Murder on the Orient Express. So this was the first Agatha Christie whodunit I saw. Superb all-star cast, great direction by Sidney Lumet, several Oscar nominations, beautiful music by Richie Rodney Bennett. Christ, I can't pronounce it. Look it up. But this is great. You know, Sean's in it, Ingrid Bergman's in it, Anthony Perkins, Richard Widmark, freaking Lauren Bacall. It goes on. And then, in actual fact, 1982, Christmas Day, Death on the Nile was on at 8:15 as well. And that same year, I went to see Evil Under the Sun at the Pictures, which was the cinema release, one of the last sort of bigger scale Agatha Christie films. But I love these. I used to love when the plot was revealed, the way a mind works. It was just fantastic. If you've not seen Murder on the Orient Express, the original, the 74 one's better than the Branagh one. Although, I do enjoy them, and I'm looking forward to the remake of Death on the Nile. I love it, Death on the Nile, he says, quelle tragédie. At the end, Hercule Poirot. Who's the best Hercule Poirot? I don't know. I think I like Ustinov more than Finney, although Finney's maybe a little more accurate portrayal, but David Suchet will always be the classic, I guess, for TV, but Branagh's Tash is awesome and perhaps more in keeping with the literary description. Okay, I mentioned 1980 before, and on the 20th, because I jumped ahead, because I went into Bond, didn't I? But on the 26th, Boxing Day, the Towering Inferno was on. The Poseidon Adventure and the Towering Inferno can duke it out in eternity, like the episode of Star Trek. I forget what it's called. But Towering Inferno is great. A little film thing here. So the billing at the start, it says Paul Newman and then Steve McQueen's higher but second. And they're both massive stars. They both paid $1 million for the film. But they couldn't agree who got first billing, or Newman was pushing for it, so and McQueen did a top psychological thing. He let Newman have first billing, but it said, can I have my name higher? And when you look at the credits, you do see McQueen's first leg. I actually prefer Paul Newman's performance and character in this. I feel like Steve McQueen knows a fireman and a hero. He doesn't get as much to do for me. I like him, although he gets that great line, you just keep building them higher or whatever. But great all-star deaths in this film. My favourite is Robert Wagner. I used to run 110 flat. No, you didn't, Robert. And now you've burned to death. And the other one's Jennifer Jones, she's getting friendly with Fred Astaire, I think, or something. And then she gets, exploded and falls to her death, There's the great bit where they've got the kind of cable car contraption and all the twats try and get on it. And Richard Chamberlain, he falls to his death. Fantastic. I do love, all-star deaths are great. Okay, so it was Towering Inferno. 981, okay, so when we were kids, we all watched kind of wildlife films like Tarka the Otter, Ring of Bright Water, but one of my favourites, and I remember seeing, and I think this was probably the first time I saw it, was 981, I would be 9. 6:35 BBC Two is The Bellstone Fox. So if you've never seen this is really good. It stars Eric Portman, Dennis Wortman. Basically, they find a fox cub and he becomes a mate with the fox hound. I'm guessing it could be a bloodhound. Maybe it's a beagle. I'm not sure. So they kind of grow up together like the fox and the hound. You remember the Disney thing. But basically, the fox is going wild and off he goes. And then the hunter, the fox hunter, I forget why he wants to... He's not fussed about catching him because he knows they're friends, but what happens is the fox outwits the hounds. He leads them up the railway track and they all get blattered. It's really horrible. And then he has this kind of revenge thing where he wants to get the fox, and it's a great climax. I'll not spoil it for you, but it's an interesting film to watch. So that's like an interesting sort of Christmas film I enjoyed. Now I'm going on the back here. We're fucking 14 minutes, Christ. Here's a good one, 1982. So on Boxing Days, we always used to go to friends of my mum and dad's for their Boxing Day party, but it was full of adults. It's probably the first time I saw someone really, really drunk, which is quite scary when you're a kid. But Bear Island was on TV on Boxing Day at 7:15, starring Donald Sutherland and Vanessa Redgrave, Christopher Lee. So I went upstairs and watched that on the black and white TV. And I remember my dad coming in. He was probably a bit bored of the party, maybe. Or maybe he thought, I'll just go and sit with my son. He actually watched quite a bit of Bear Island with me. I loved it at the time. When you're watching that, it's not very good, but it's kind of an espionage thing. Quite good. Myth of Xmas, The Great Escape, is always on at Christmas. I did some research, and the only Christmas showing I could find was 1983, the 28th of December. Now, I think I saw it before this. I must have done, because I'd be 12 by then. I can't have lived that long and not seen The Great Escape. Well, I certainly would have watched it then. I love those war films, and you do tend to watch this at Christmas, but sometimes, like I say, myths get spread that it's like, oh, this film's on every Christmas. It's not, or wasn't. And yeah, sorry, jumping back to 82 here, another film I watched, I think it was a season of Polanski films on, and on BBC Two on Boxing Day night, it was Dance of the Vampires at 11:25. So I don't know if you've seen that, it's like a spoof horror film starring Roman Polanski and Jackie McGrowan. It's really funny. It's like a piss take of Hammer films, but it's got a great theme music, and it's got Sharon Tate in it, one of her film roles before she was murdered. And what else we've got? So Carry On films were like a big part of Christmas as well. Jumping very far ahead here, so I used to go down to my relatives for Christmas, and we used to have to get a travel lodge. There wasn't enough room at the inn, as it were, so I shared a room with my brothers and we watched Carry On Loving, and that was 1991 Boxing Day. That's a good Carry On film if you've not seen that. Obviously, TV, morning TV, Laurel and Hardy were on, and also you'll all remember Flash Gordon. My research tells me that 9:10 in the mornings in 1977, Christmas, Flash Gordon was on. I used to love that. I used to get on top of the cupboard in my bedroom and jump off, because remember I had those winged capes or whatever. That was top. Another top memories, the premiere of E.T. in 1990. That was the second time I saw E.T. and watched that with the family. My dad enjoyed that. K9 and Company, 1982, more TV. That's the K9 spin-off. It didn't last long. Xmas Eve, Christmas Eve, 5:40 p.m, BBC One. One of the weird things as well, just a final thing, is often you get those things at the end of the Christmas holidays. So the Christmas holidays is over, it's into the new year, and you're waiting to go back to school, but they usually put a few tidbits out there. A couple of weird ones. One's the Pinchcliffe Grand Prix. So this was, just let me check, 1983, the 3rd of January, so it'd be the Christmas of 82 into the 3rd of January. This is a weird stop-motion kids film. It's, if you check on it, it's one of the biggest films in Norway's history ever. It's shown all the time. I think it's got a special car and had a real-life version of it, like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and I think Nicky Lauda drove it once or something daft. I've seen it a couple of times. I just remember loving it as a kid. The climax was really funny. It was really well animated. I don't know what I'd think now. I always thought I'd seen it at Christmas, but in actual fact, it's in that little period after Christmas. And the other weird one, some people may remember, this was January the 4th, 1987, BBC Two, Coast to Coast with Lenny Henry and the American actor John Shea. So a little bit of cult following for this, like a British TV film. I think he might be on the run or something, John Shea, but he's got a Motown soundtrack. But I didn't like it much, but I just remember it was on the Sunday night we watched it. I had to go to school the next day. How depressing is that, Christmas. I remember once actually, I think it was the last year I was at my the house I grew up in before we moved house. I think I actually cried on the day before I went back to school. I was actually blubbing in my mum and dad's bedroom to my mum and dad, saying how unfair it was. I fucking hated going back to school after Christmas. Christ almighty. Another one I remember, coming back up to Newcastle after, a hangover after Christmas, and to the Dole, and The Amazing Mr. Blunden was on TV. That's another kind of film I saw in my childhood. So post-Christmas blues in Benwell, watching The Amazing Mr. Blunden about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Good film though, directed of the Railway Children, ghost story, well worth seeing. And so that is just about it. We've just got a couple of things, so a tidbit. So when I was doing my research, 1975, 8 o'clock at night on ITV on Christmas Day, 1975. You'll never guess what was on TV, 8 o'clock at night. This is the premiere Christmas thing on ITV. 1975, this is Love Thy Neighbour. There you go. We've come a long way, so let's not fuck it up and go back to stuff like that. And my favourite, most treasured Christmas memory, I think, of TV or film, and I forget the date it was shown. It was just before Christmas, might have been the 20th of December, I think, and that is the final episode of Blake 7. So this would be 1981. It was on at 7:20 p.m. on BBC One, and for those who don't watch Blake 7, this is one of the maybe the greatest episode of Blake 7. It finished on a high. It was amazing. Basically, everyone that gets killed, Blake reappears, and it's just a great dialogue between him and Avon. My mum and dad had a little black and white TV in their bedroom. They were watching something else, so I was like, "Oh, can I go in your room and watch Blake 7?" And I just sat on the bed, and it was absolutely magical. So that is some of my Christmas TV. So there's not really Christmas films there. I'm not massive on Christmas films. I'll probably watch Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell on Netflix this Christmas. I don't really like It's a Wonderful Life either. I think it's really dark and miserable. I don't get the Christmasness of it. Really, I've just always thought of it as a dark film noir. So there you go. Merry Christmas.